Okay. So first, I'm going to go over raycasting a bit. Raycast is essentially an invisible line that gets generated that goes from point A to B. So you can tell where to shoot it, what direction to shoot it. Not only that, once you call a raycast, you can also get information on what you're hitting, and also, oh yeah, Eric, you can go ahead. Like I said, I'll have these lectures online. So yeah, if anybody at any point wants to head out, that's okay. You can feel free to work on your projects. I'm still gonna go over this, and I'll probably have another small tutorial tomorrow as well. So, and again, if you don't want to be here for next lecture, just shoot me an email so I know, or and I know you guys will be working on it. So. Like I said, not only can you shoot a raycast and see what it hits, but it also gives you information on what's happening to the object that gets hit, like what direction it's going, what position it's at, that kind of stuff. And that can become really useful for, say, things like a shooter game. So objects must also have a collider in order to be hit, and that's what holds all that information once that physics is done. Yeah, other things like the length of the array when it was hit, the transform of the object once it's hit. So I'm going to go over a quick first-person shooter tutorial here. Get another chat. 1 second. So first, I'm going to create the plane. And then I'm going to create capsule. I'm going to beef this up a bit. Just go over here, 5. Oh, I guess it has to be 1 and 5. No screen, we got a capsule. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the camera to our capsule and then put them on the top. Needs to be a bit above. Also need to, I think these are in the same position. I think it's important. So over here, we're gonna move this way. Okay. So your camera's in one position and the capsule is also in that same position. That just is easy for positioning stuff. Okay. And I'm just gonna create some small objects here. Duplicate it, have some fun. Then we create another object here, and I'm also going to create a material so that we can differentiate. Where are you? Rename this cargo 1. And And again, these are just going to be my simple targets. Oops. What I like to do is create an empty game object, put them in there. That should be okay. Okay, got that set up. So for a first-person shooter, I'm sure. Oh, you can just email it to me, Devin. So for a first-person shooter, I'm sure you guys have played. You can typically see a gun and like some of the arms. So for your models, if you don't have a full character model, you'll probably need to get some arms to put on there. So I only found one free asset that was just the arms. So I'm gonna grab that real quick. I'm not gonna use a lot of this. Like I'm not planning on animating or using any audio. I just want to kind of get the movement and the shooting down. So yeah, I probably shouldn't even need the textures and whatnot, but meshes, arms. Let's go back to our scene. Scale this up a bit. And for this, I kind of like having the game screen side by side, so I see what I'm going to be looking at. Yeah, big. We're going to tie that to the capsule and delete this. So, unpack. All this is connected here. I'll get rid of this. I think. Yeah, this is the problem with importing things and not wanting to use like half of the things in it. Okay, I'm gonna, not yet. Create a folder for it because I like to be organized. 1 second here. Okay, and like I said, a lot of this we've kind of covered already, but here again, we're going to need a variable for the walk speed. Grab a rigid body for this. Vector 3, move direction. Okay. And this was very similar to what we've already talked about. Uncle. Those. We're going to set our move direction. Then normalize it. The player's position is going to tell us what direction is forward and what is left and right. And then we scale these vectors by multiplying their magnitude by the horizontal and vertical inputs. And then we add those directions together. Once we normalize the vector, we make sure that everything has a magnitude of 1 when we're moving things. Since we're adding 2 vectors together, the magnitude would be larger than 1. So we have to normalize it. If we didn't, then the player would be moving faster diagonally than he would in any other direction. Okay. Now we're going to create a function called move. And then we're going to call update. And here, it's kind of our physics steps here. So we're going to first, I need a vector 3. So y velocity. We're going to grab the rigid body velocity of y. And our velocity is going to be move direction that we just created, times our walk speed, which we set, and using time by delta time. So the dot velocity method, so we use to control the speed and direction of a game object, and then we use time by delta time to give us speed in more manageable units. It's basically adding like per second to our velocity. So then we're going to do velocity plus equals velocity fix. So our move direction is made out of a forward-facing and a rightward-facing vector. So our y component is always 0. The simplest way to solve this is to store the y velocity and then add it back after it gets set to 0. So, player controller, I'm going to throw it on our capsule. What are you talking about? Grenade. Oh, just get all of these out of here. And I do it now. Okay. Got a script, walk speed, set to 50. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. What am I missing here? Actually, that move. Should be working. Oh, haha. As always, the rigid body. You kidding me? Oh, geez. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. One important thing to do is recall what you're looking for. So you have to get your components. So I was complaining about rigid body. All right. Give it another shot. Oh boy. 34. What about this? Hey! So if you notice, we have some crazy stuff happening. So that's happening because we need to set some parameters for our player in Unity. So in our constraints, we need to freeze the X and Z rotation for this. Hey, look at that, we're moving, but not very fast. And that's just because of our walk speed is so slow. So bump that up. And there we go, basically, right? So now, like a first-person shooter, we have AWSD, but then we also can move the head around, right? So we're gonna have to create another script for that. Camera controller, and we're gonna start with some variables here. I'll explain these in a second. I'm just gonna write them down for you. Probably self-explanatory. We have these minimum maximum values for X. So being that we're trying to simulate a player moving its head, we can only move it a certain range, right? So that's what these variables are for. So -60 and 60 are the left and right, or sorry, it should be the up and down that we can see. And then minimum Y and max Y would be 360 because we're able to look around. So. Also, we're going to add 2 more variables that will act as our sensitivity of each axis. Store the camera that we're using. So we're going to need some rotation variables to mess around with. One thing we want to do first in the start is that we want to remove the cursor, right? Because we don't want to see the cursor when we're moving the camera around because it gets kind of annoying. But then at the same time, we want to be able to close the game once we're done testing it in Unity. So first we're going to do cursor.lockState. This will allow us to essentially lock the cursor. So it starts off locked, and then if code escape. And we want to change our lock state. None. So unlocking it. And then we also just make sure cursor is visible. Okay, so first we're going to set our rotation variables. Put back this. And so instead of a key press, we're going to do mouse X. And we're going to times that by the sensitivity of Y. And then we're going to use one of the math functions here to apply our constraints. So mathf.clamp. And then this takes three arguments, which is rotation x, the variable that you want to clamp, and your min and max values. And x and max x. So it won't go past those numbers that you set. And then in order to apply this rotation, we're going to use local Euler angles. It's a pretty common way to change your angle in Unity. I only want to rotation y. Yeah, we only want to rotate the y-axis. We don't want to do anything with the x or z. And then we want to change the position camera needs to change between x and y. The actual player will only rotate in y. Okay. Let's go back to our project here. Sorry. Okay. Oh, one thing we have to do, obviously, is apply this to our main camera. Main camera. So you see, I'm able to move the player, and I'm able to move the head. I can't move it completely 360 because of the locks that I have, but the hands should follow me, right? That's typically how first-person shooters are. Easy way to do that. Also, you can hit escape, get your cursor back. Just attach the arms to the camera. Now it looks like most first-person shooters. And of course, like as you do this, you can apply animations so that arms are like kind of bobbing around and that kind of stuff. So okay, so we have our movement down. We have the gun pointing with our camera. So let's start getting into some ray casting here. We're going to create a new script. As always, need a whole bunch of labels for this. Damage is basically the base damage that your gun will do. We're just going to set it to 10 right now. Range, we're going to set a range to how far you can shoot the gun. Impact force. And fire rate. Talk about your ammo having reload time, all that stuff. Beautiful. And is 1 second, and then boolean. That's your loading. I added this in, which probably will want to as well. I'm gonna have to grab a particle system for the muzzle flash. And we also have an impact effect. Okay, from the start, you want to set current ammo to the max. And we want to call the on enable to is reloading equals false. We do this because say you have multiple guns that you're swapping out of. With the logic that we're going to have while changing this true and false, there are going to be instances where you may not be out of the process, so it could end up being true the whole time, and so you can't reload your gun once you swap out weapons or something. So this is good to do, just so that you know whenever your gun is enabled or is present that you're not reloading. And say if we are reloading, well, first before I do that, I'll just the basic shoot. If fire one, and again, this is set up in your controller settings in Unity. So these are already pre-built in. And time is greater than or equal to the next time to fire. We're gonna comment this out for right now. We'll build on that later. So we're gonna do just our shoot method right now. This is essentially how you start a particle effect muzzle flash.play. It's pretty simple. So whenever we have the shoot, it'll just play the muzzle flash. But again, you have to set up the particle effect, which could be kind of tedious if you don't like that stuff. So we reduce the current ammo, and then we need to call raycast. And so this is going to go from the camera to the objects to hit. Raycast is how you set up your raycast. So first is going to be where you're shooting your raycast from, which is your camera position. And then you want to shoot it out forward. Using the hit. And and also within the range that we set up there, right? So we could just say this raycast even without the if statement, but being that we want to add conditionals to this, we want to do something with it, right? Like it'll do a raycast, but then if this is true, if it actually shoots off the raycast, we're going to go ahead and just do debug.log transform.name. So we're just going to mess with that real quick. You can just put this on the gun. Oh. I'm just going to go ahead and put it up here. Oh, I didn't set the variables on the script. In camera. Don't have the particle system yet. Yeah, it's going to yell at me if I don't create one. I guess I'll go ahead and set the particle system. Well, instead of doing that, I'm just going to comment out for right now. We can play with that later. So, back to this, not there yet. In the game. So you can see in the bottom left, it says target 01. Hit this one. Target 03. Target 02. And then you can actually hit the Q1. You can hit the plane. It's pretty indiscriminate of what you can hit right now. All right. So let's go ahead and build on this here. So say we just want to hit the targets. First, we're going to have to create a script for the targets so that we can call on them. So on target. And the script's pretty simple. Don't need any of this. But these will actually have a health of 50. The amount of damage that it does. And to subtract from the amount given. And then if health is less than 0. And then so essentially we're just going to destroy the game object once the health reaches 0. Pretty simple. And before I forget, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it on all of our targets. This is probably one of those instances where you make a prefab once you have all of them. Okay, so now that we have our target, we can go back to our gun controller. And then we're going to create a variable, I guess, which would be the class that we just created. The component that has a target. So whatever we hit with this raycast, if it has the target component, that's the variable that we're going to be getting. And if that target variable is nothing, or is not equal to nothing, and we're going to say target.take damage by the damage that we set up in the variable, which I believe is 10. Okay. So if we hit a rigid body, then we're going to add a little force to it. And it kind of gives us a little indicator that we actually hit something. And that higher impact force. In order for this to work, we need to put rigid bodies on all these guys. Make sure you got everything there. Let's take a look at what we got so far. We did shoot it. It did get destroyed. I think I'm hitting it. I should open my console, but you get the idea. You can't really see the nudge or the knockback because I think it's just so small. Let me just double check that that's. Oh, you know what? I gotta instantiate it for that to work. Okay, so create a game object, impact the game object. Call that up here, right? Oh, maybe not. Oh yeah, I commented that. Impact effect. Point, and then I'm going to use Quintarian to have it just like a little bit of a rotation when the object is hit. And we're going to go ahead and destroy the game object. After 2 seconds. That's what the 2F is 2 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry. This is actually for the effects of. It's not gonna yell at me. It might yell at me when I run it. Let me see. It's gonna yell at me because I don't have an effect set. Yeah. I really don't want to make a particle system, but I guess I will. There's just a lot of settings. That's the main reason I didn't want to make it. Start lifetime. 5. And start size 0.2. These are just settings that I'd already played with. You can find tons of tutorials on how to do this. But I am missing one of them here. I think it's a mission. Yeah. There you go. I know it kind of gives us a crazy shot there, but and if we want to get fancy, do color over lifetime. Set the alpha to like 100 or something. Put that lower, set that a little higher. Change this to like an orangish color. Maybe up the alpha a little bit higher. That'll look something like that. Again, I'm sure this isn't the best, but this is skip right now. Go ahead. Prefab. Okay. So now they have that. Impact effect. Oh. just gonna leave it like that for now. Hey, you can see it. It's all the way over there because my gun isn't aligned with the center. We can do something about that. But you saw that the little impact effect that it had, and then it went away after 2 seconds. You can do the same thing for actually shooting the gun with that play that I put before. We'll throw that in. But let me set up the a little reticle so that we know where the center of the screen is. So first, I'm going to create a 2D object. Oh, I'm sorry, UI image. Right now it's going to be a circle. We're going to go ahead and put the center of the screen. You can do that, hit Alt, hit center. Should already be aligned, but 20, 20. Make it like a gray, maybe alpha it out a little bit. So now that's the center where we want to shoot our gun. So we can actually probably want to move our arms up a bit so that the player knows where exactly they'll be shooting. And again, I'm sure you'll find like other models that will do a much better job of this. These arms aren't that great. But now kind of have a little reticle that gives us a little bit more accuracy. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and add the muzzle flash back in. We already had that, and it is the particles is the muzzle flash that we're going to assign, and then we just play the particle effect. So go ahead and just drag that on there. Oh, yeah. Also, you want to drag this into there, but then don't think we want it enabled. Take a look, see what that does. Yeah, I don't think it'll do it. It should see small. Way somewhere else. That's a, okay. What we want, but we don't want it playing all the time. At any rate, that's essentially how you do it. I feel like it's just the particle system that you have to set up. It's not really what this is about. So next thing I'm going to go over is the reloader. So we want to take time to actually reload our gun, and then we want to make sure that we have a count of our ammo and then when to reload, right? So well, first we're gonna enable this. This will allow us to adjust the fire rate. So if before you just click and then shoot as many times as you want. This will actually allow you to adjust the fire rate that you want. You can just hard to tell because these particle systems are going all over the place, but and then that happens. But essentially, you're changing the next time to fire depending on your fire rate and time. So now we're going to create a coroutine using IEnumerable. Reload. And we use these when we need to like pause for a process. So reloading to true, and then yield turn to wait for seconds. Reload time. That's the amount of time that we want to wait for our reload. Set our current ammo to max ammo, and then once we're done, we want to set reloading stop default. We also, in the update, need to change this reloading. So if we are reloading, we don't want to do any of this stuff. So the easiest way to do that, just do a return. Once you hit return, none of this stuff will happen. So if we're still in this process during an update, the fire will be skipped. I think that's everything in place. Okay. So let's give that a shot. First, we got to see. Okay, so yeah, we have our fire rate 15. Max ammo is 10. So let's see what happens when we shoot. Maybe I forgot to add. See, I knew there was an extra. I think it's in shoot. Oh, current ammo. Oh, I'm sorry. That was max ammo. Just so that we can see it. Okay, right now it's 0, but then once you start up the game, should go to 10. 10. Oh, interesting. And not only that, it's going. Oh, it's because of our fire rate, I believe. Oh. Also in the update, we put another if condition. Say if our current ammo is less than or equal to 0, automatically reload. Start coroutine for this type of method. And then just call it our reload. Reload. Well, it's given me. It's weird. Oh. That's what needs to be a numerator. Okay. It's going from 10 to 0 because our fire rate is 15 per click. It's going really fast. So we're going to set that to 1. It's still going pretty fast. I think it's just because of the press of it. So I'm going to go ahead. I remove this right now. real finicky. But then you can see it's going back up. So our reload is being called. And yeah, that's pretty much the basics of how to call a raycast to see what you're shooting, damage, reload time, movement, camera movement. Is there any questions on any of that stuff? Well, that's all I had for this evening. I'll still be here, take questions, or if you guys want to work on your game, feel free. I'll be here. So, all right. Good luck to you guys. Keep warm because it's supposed to be cold the rest of the week. And have a good night.